Hey folks, Positive Paul, and it is Monday, January 27th, 2020. Hope everybody's well out there. See what we can come up with. You know, hey, look, we can do these phony TI videos all day long, but I don't think it's bearing any fruit. But yet, someone's got to do it. So let's try to understand a little bit of what this end time scenario is about concerning God's elect, the saints, and these so-called targeted individuals. Now, again, my question was, is your targeting an effect of this end time scenario concerning widespread persecution of Christians, people of faith, or is it just tied to the whole 9/11 Patriot Act, terrorist here, terrorist there, bad guy here, bad guy there, shooter here situation that has, been unfortunately fraudulently put upon the American people. So the real goal is to just keep an eye on everybody. We know that. So, in the end of the day, everybody's a target, right? But here's the rub, folks. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Now, this Spirit is the end-all, be-all to the situation we now find ourselves in. And the people that are tied to this Spirit, or the ones that may be claiming that they somehow got mixed up into this whole targeting phenomenon. Now, what would the enemy like to do? Meaning these reptoids, meaning Satan, meaning the fallen angels, meaning Yahweh, Jehovah. They want to make you think that this Spirit of God doesn't exist. Now, the big question is, we need to ask ourselves, is why was there this transition on the seventh day where God took a rest and Lord God took over the creation. Now it says, these are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. Well, look, we know that Elohim is God that made man in their image, their likeness. But certainly, Lord God, meaning Yahweh, Jehovah, was also present during this process. They saw everything that took place. Now, we don't know why the Elohim left. And their influence over planet Earth, was essentially, you do see them come back in when it's necessary. They are somehow able to keep an eye on things from afar, but more or less, instructions were given, and it appears that, sorry to say, folks, Yahweh, Jehovah, has a different, a different thing in mind of what this creation is supposed to look like. Now, the instructions were clearly, no, don't eat of the tree of knowledge. Stay away. But as we find out, that was impossible. But here is the whole rub. The first clone, the first hybrid, Eve. She was duped, not Adam, the original people of God's creation. Now, the enmity is there for the very reason is someone's not listening. So it's like the analogy would be is, hey, here's a cookie for you doing homework, my son. But do not go back into that cookie jar. Because if you do, there's going to be hell to pay. And what happens? The minute you turn your back, they're back in the cookie jar again. Well, that's these hybrids. And the rub is God's people, meaning Adam, both male and female, they know who these hybrids are. There's a mark on them. And whether it was a physical mark back then or a frequency type thing, that the people known as Adam were able to understand that there's something about Eve's people, her offspring, there's something that is just not right. And so that's why you ended up having the coats of skin. All right, folks, it's the image. They had to make an image to make these hybrids look more human. Now, what's the one thing I still, people are so caught up in their image. Every day you got to be in front of that mirror getting all gussied up. To what? Go nowhere fast? They've got you convinced that every time you walk out the door, if you're not primped and fluffed, that somehow you're a lesser human being than these hybrids that need the image. The hybrids need this to cover up their true identity. So back then, God's people, Adam, were clearly, just whatever it was, there was, no doubt that whoever these hybrids are, they are different from us. And so what did Yahweh do? He gave them coats of skin. He gave them image technology to cover up that mark, which is the spot in their garment, folks. And some of these TIs that, I don't know why these handlers let some of these Draco hybrids go out not covered up. Because they're being exposed, man. You dumb Dracos got to wake up, all right? Goodness gracious. So not only do you have the issue of human and hybrid back then, but it just continues on with Cain. Now, Cain, all right, the spirit of Cain is alive and well in 2020, and it exists in these hybrids, right? The true targets that have been singled out and chosen from birth are walking in that original spirit of Elohim. The hybrids don't have that, folks. Now, here's where maybe I could be wrong, all right? Since Adam was part of that original hybrid process, maybe a little bit of that spirit exists within them. And that's why God gave salvation to the Gentiles. Now look, the plane's buzzing around right overhead because they can't stand this, folks. So look, the spirit of Cain, we know that. And again, with this technology, they have to have this technology, and this is where all these electromagnetic distortions and all these hybrids are being exposed. Now, here's the one thing that you got to get through your heads, all right? Back then, this was an issue. So, for God said, she hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. Now, certainly, when it says Noah was a just man in all his generations, that means he didn't breed with hybrids. Now, yes, we got the whole thing with the giants, the fallen angels, the sons of God, but I don't want to go there. What we got to understand is right here, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. We have to understand who these three people were and where did all their descendants end up at. Clearly, we know Ham is tied to Egypt and people of color. I believe Japheth, as described by Brian from Servants Research Ministry, and what the hell happened to him, describes it as Japheth being a mix and Shem white. Now, that could be a wrong description. I don't know about Ham. Ham, clearly, we've got him tied to Egypt. Now, Japheth, all right, we come down to where his son Ashkenaz, there's something to do with him and these Ashkenazi Jews, which those are my ancestors by virtue of my name, and it goes to the Merovingians after that. Now, yes, these Ashkenazi Jews, there's a lot to be said about them. But the bottom line is, if they're tied to Ashkenaz and they're tied to Japheth, we need to understand that there's going to be descendants, people that are pure in their generations. And this is what it's about, folks. It's about breeding out humans. That's the bottom line. And they've they're pretty smart. The demonic realm was able to stir up racism and all that. And look, nobody wants to be in a situation where they're dependent on somebody else. But the minute they started dividing all of us and saying that, okay, yes, there's a whole group of people called minorities that are being left behind. They're not given opportunities. They're being, in essence, they're being harassed and stalked, but in a way where they're not able to actually live a life of freedom, of liberty, which what we were told back in 1776. So, okay, this is an off-the-cuff video. I mean, I can go back to these YouTube frauds if you want. So, the satanic rituals, but flesh with the life thereof. You are told in Genesis 9, stay away from the blood, don't eat it. Why is it these reptoids need to thrive off this blood? These sacrificial lambs, these children. Remember what I told you about the giants, folks, all right? Once the sons of God, once the cupboards were bare, they would have got anything they get their hands on, especially humans. And that's where a lot of the problems concerning satanic ritual abuse stems from. These giants, these Nephilim, these Rahim, and getting all the way up into Deuteronomy when they're describing how they went and the last remaining one, Og, the king of Bashan, his bed was like, 12 feet in length and 4 feet in width. Who knows? This guy would have been a monster. But all of them, and they're described. The Amim, the Zumzim, they're all described. The Amorites. The blood. So, why is there no genealogy of Cain? And we just go straight to the generations of the sons of Noah. Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. Tower of Babel. Here's what's interesting. Chapter 15. The battle of the 4 kings against the 5. I don't understand, it says, and look, whoever had this Bible way back when put a mark on verse 5. Chapter 14, verse 5. And in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer, and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rahim, and Ashtaroth, Karnam, and the Zumzim, and Ham, and the Emim, and Shaveh, Kerithaim. I don't understand why did that person mark that? But again, they were taking out the giants right there. Folks, it's all right here. It's all right here. Answers to all our questions, but it's coded. And it takes enormous research and time to understand that. Let's see. All right, well, I don't know. I'm going to stick with this for now. Just some thoughts I put out there. And, hey, I don't like doing this. Trust me. I'd rather just be able to go to work, earn a living, take care of my family, have a few friends I can maybe enjoy the weekend with. But, folks, all that is just what it is, a false reality. Because if we resigned ourselves to say that this targeting phenomenon stems from the whole, just take the period of time, 9/11, Patriot Act, FISA here, FISA there, terrorist here, young shooter there, young shooter here. That's what the job of these YouTube frauds are, to mislead you about what the true nature of the targeting is. That the people that are tied to that Spirit of God, found in Genesis 2, are just about to be wiped off the face of the planet if these sad sack Satanist Luciferian reptoids could have their way. And it's not going to happen. Blessed be the Lord.